This is the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news and bad news about money. Here's Robert Kiyosaki.
Hello. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news and bad news about money. And today's a very important show because it's about crypto. And the older I get, the more I don't know. And crypto is taking over the world. And I was just on my phone to my gold and silver dealer. And I still own gold and silver, and I bought a lot of crypto. But it's a very important subject that we need to be aware of. And once again, the Rich Dad, we don't recommend anything, but we just do our best to give you the information so you can make your own decisions. So our guest today is Jeff Wang. He's a contributor to the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter, and he is the host of Rocket Fuel Crypto. And he's an authority on it. And the thing is, he's come from the communist. I just left the Communist Republic of Hawaii. And Jeff just left the Communist Republic of San Francisco, or the city of San Francisco. And I'm moving out of Hawaii. It's that bad. I mean, I can't stand it. I love the island. I love the beauty. I love the people. But the government has gone so far woke left. It's hard to live there. And so Jeff just moved out of San Francisco, which is possibly the most beautiful city in America. And I got my first job on 555 Market Street, San Francisco. And he had to leave San Francisco. So I think we'll start with that, Jeff. So Jeff, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show, and thank you for hosting the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So why did you move from San Francisco, possibly the most beautiful city in the world?
Well, I just had a family, and we were deciding whether or not it was kind of safe even to just walk around at night, and decided to move farther south in the peninsula. So, yeah. So what caused you to think it was getting dangerous or not safe, whatever the thing is? I think things might have gotten too progressive. There was the new DA. They were experimenting with not putting people to jail. And next month, there's a recall election for him. So I think things are starting to correct back to the center. But right now it has gotten a little bit out of hand. Yeah, it's I just cannot believe how whacked out these guys are on the left. I don't know what that means, but also the vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, is from that same area. And we all know how she got to the top. So that's one thing I like about how progressive these progressives are. But anyway, again, what can you tell me that's going on with crypto? Because, for full disclosure, to me, it's considerable, but I had to buy it at 6,000. And then the next lot I bought was around 9,000. And I had to wait from it. I think it hit 20,000 at one time. Then it retraced down to like 1,000. And I had to watch to see if it was going to rebound. Basically, I traded it. And today it's coming down from I don't know what, but I'm going to get ready to start buying again, but it has to go a little bit lower. So everybody says crypto is in a bear market or Bitcoin is in a bear market, but so is the stock market and so is the bond market. That's why this Rich Dad's Radio Show is a very important show to figure out what is going on in the marketplace. So why is Bitcoin in a bear market? It's funny. Crypto over the years has gotten closer and closer to being extremely correlated with the stock market, and particularly growth stocks. So if you look at NASDAQ, it's down 21% year to date. Bitcoin's actually outperformed that. It's only down 17% year to date. Although if you look at like S&P 500, it's actually not outperforming that. It's only down 13%, right? So even though stock markets and crypto are in a bear market, you can see crypto is very tightly correlated with the tech stocks. Correct. And, I don't know anything about it. So that's why thank you for writing the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. The other question I have as a guy who knows nothing about this field, except I have a lot of money in it. How come there's so many thousands of cryptos? One thing that's happening over the past 2 years is a rebranding of crypto. So instead of thinking of it as just a form of currency, people are thinking of it as a platform to create apps, to run different membership like companies on even. And that whole umbrella is called Web3. So if you think about Web 2 is kind of like you can interact with the website, right? Web 3 is like the platform is public and anybody can develop on it and anybody can interact with it. So think of it, all these cryptocurrencies as representations of like a public computer that people can go and visit and carry themselves and their identities to each of these different public computers. So it's a little bit high level, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what we call the dot-com era. You know, back around 2000, everybody had a .com company. You know, it was just this .com and that .com. And everybody was chasing these .com companies and it all came crashing down. So do you think that's going to happen to all these new crypto coins or whatever they are?
I think crypto will continue to remain correlated with growth stocks, but there are so many funds being raised and so many billions of dollars waiting on the sidelines to fund innovation in the space. So if you bring enough smart people and you bring enough money to any category, you're going to see some really good things come out of it. And obviously the hard part is keeping up to date with the rapidly changing environment. I mean, over the last year, we've seen like 3 bull and bear market cycles with different innovations coming out and then kind of fading back. But there are a lot of promising things that have come out that are actually actively being used. And the big difference this time is there is a connection to the real world. So there's 2 things that are something I want to talk about. One is the off ramps and on ramps. So actually using the crypto you use, right, to swipe a card to earn interest on it. You can, like, for example, borrow money against getting a car loan, then depositing it into crypto, earning an interest rate on a stable coin, and then getting a free car, essentially, because the rate of return of the interest is greater than the monthly payments you need for the car. So these are things that you teach, but in different formats. You buy a home, you get rental income, and eventually you pay off the home, right? So these are like things that are happening in the real world are getting digital representations on in crypto, and that's called DeFi or decentralized finance.
I understand, but the question was how many will survive in the next 10 years? Or will there be
right
more?
Now, there's a big difference because there's stable coins. Stable coins have wildly propagated throughout crypto now, and these are just $1 coins, right? They don't change in value. So now there's a safe haven to park your money where it won't go against market forces, and yet you can still earn interest on it.
Wait a minute. How can you call it a safe haven? We don't even know what it is.
A stable coin, there's multiple ways to do it, and some of them are safer than others.
I understand. So how would you know that?
There again, this is about like how much education you have in the space and how much you research each entity, right? Some stable coins are completely backed by the amount of coins they have. Some are algorithmically stable, right? They can burn and mint, and then the coins stay at $1. And of course, there are always situations where you have hacks or exploits, right?
Jeff.
The main thing to know is there are places to park money in crypto that are safe, that are not going to move against the market forces.
Jeff, one of the reasons I have gold coins, and I mean real gold coins and real silver coins, is there's no counterparty risk. You know what I mean? They are the money. So when you say there's $1, somebody declares it $1 and all that, who's the counterparty? Is it the Wizard of Oz?
Again, this is very technical, but there are ways to maintain the stability of a coin pegged against any other asset.
So how would you recommend somebody like me who can barely use a cell phone figure out who the counterparty is? Like I said, is it the Wizard or is it Joe Biden or Kamala?
Well, right now, that's one of the biggest issues with crypto is it's really technical. Yeah. And people like you, it's very hard for you to get into crypto because there's so many steps. Like you don't want to open a crypto account on some random website and then move the coins to a wallet and then interact with a Web3 website, right? So there are different products coming out right now where it's as simple as sending a bank transaction and then it's all done for you. At tomocrypto.com, we're doing the same thing there. You just get a card, deposit money, and then you handle the crypto part on the side, right? So I think in the next year, you're going to see the simplification of the protocol versus like the real world. And that again, that's a huge difference than what it was like even a few months ago. A few months ago, people still have to go to Coinbase, they have to buy coins and send it to a wallet and then send it to a website, right? Those days are coming very close to an end.
So don't you think there's a lot of smoke and mirror and BS floating around in there?
No, not if you understand the technology, because
so you think, wait, this is the one. Will all the coins survive?
no, 99% of the coins will probably be worthless, right? So there are very few coins that are actually building real assets and real value and actual product market fit. But all the other coins are just cash grabs, right? They're just copies and clones of each other. So it's very important to know which coins are the real life, like trying to do something for the world coins, and what are the like projects that are just there just to make money.
Sounds like a lot of con job to me. That's why I could say, for the listeners out, there's a thing called counterparty risk. There's nobody else behind the gold coin. There's no Wizard of Oz and no smoking mirrors. The other thing I like about gold and silver coins is that, as you know, in this cyber warfare, if they knock out our electronic systems, coins disappear too. But if let's say the Russians fire up an EMP, EMF, one of those things, bombs go off, they knock out the grid. Gold and silver stays there. So that's kind of what I just want to give people the differences on this whole thing. And I still own quite a bit of Bitcoin and Ethereum. But I'm waiting for the price to come down before I buy more, take another position in both Bitcoin and Ethereum. I just want people to know that, to don't think, because I get promoted all the effing time. You got to get in on this one, or you got to get in on that one. This one's going to go to the moon. I'm an old man. I've heard this bullshit so many times over all these years in real estate, stocks, and that's why we have the Rich Dad Radio Show. It's not to promote anything, but the idea of understanding what's good and what's bad about something. So how does a person find out more? I mean, so for somebody like me, it's best I not get into it because I'm not tech savvy at all.
I think one thing to know is anytime you have a new technology and a lot of opportunity, you're going to see a gold rush. No pun intended to what you just said, but a lot of people are going to rush in. They're going to create something that may or may not work, and people are going to speculate. So what's happening right now is there's a ton of money just coming in as speculation. You see the Gen Z people just like see other people get rich and they want to dive in too, right? They see like Dogecoin go up and like, oh my gosh, I got to get it. It's going to go to the moon. But that's not driven by actual technology or actual product like market fit or actual value, right, in the real world. So that's the hard part is figuring out where the value comes and where the product market fit is versus how can I make money on it, right? Because if you focus on what value it brings to the world, then that's the difference.
So I'm an old guy. How would I start?
Well, I mean, this is why we have Rich Dad Crypto, right? This is for people to understand each of these projects, what they want to bring to the world. Okay. But they're obviously like, it's so much going on in the space. It moves so fast that you do have to keep track, but we try to simplify things, obviously, for those that just want to read it for once a month.
Good. So I'll let everybody know that we're not recommending it. And I'm very cautious right now because I get promoted all the time. This coin will go to the moon. I'm going, well, it may also disappear behind the moon as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and we can focus on the kind of the technology, the economic backdrop, even the political forces right now that are happening. We don't need to focus on like specific coins and why they go to the moon or not. That's not the intent.
That's why people. Wouldn't you say, Jeff? Wouldn't you say it's nothing? Same as real estate. Everybody's jumping into real estate right now. You got to be crazy. Why would you buy at an all-time high? I'm not talking about real estate specifically. So anyway, that's where he is. So when we come back, we're going to be talking more to Jeff Wang. He's a contributor to the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. I'm doing my best to warn people that I've seen this rodeo before. It was in real estate and was all this stock and that stock. It was the .com company, pets.com, which disappeared and all of this stuff. And I'm being promoted all the time. I want you to endorse this coin. This friend of mine wanted me to endorse a coin. And I had no idea. But we're friends. Just endorse it so people will come in. I'm going, you've got to be kidding me. So she and I are no longer friends. How dare you ask me to promote something that you can't see? So we'll be back. We'll be talking more about how to how to understand this thing. I think crypto is here to stay. So we'd best learn as much as we can. So we'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by 8 Sleep. Good sleep is the ultimate game changer and nature's best medicine. Consistent good sleep can help reduce the likelihood of serious health issues, decrease the risk of heart disease, lower blood pressure, and even reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. Yet, still more than 30% of Americans struggle with sleep, and temperature is one of the main causes of poor sleep. In Arizona, where I live, it can get hot. However, now I'm falling asleep in record time, faster than I have before, all thanks to my 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover. The Pod Pro cover by 8 Sleep is the most advanced solution on the market for thermoregulation. It pairs dynamic cooling and heating with biometric tracking. You can add the cover to any mattress and start sleeping as cool as 55 degrees or as hot as 110. The temperature of the cover will adjust each side of the bed based on your sleep stages, biometrics, and bedroom temperature, reacting intelligently to create optimal sleeping environment. The result? 8 Sleep users fall asleep up to 32% faster, reduce sleep interruptions by 40%, and get overall more restful sleep. The Pod Pro cover by 8 Sleep is so popular, it has garnered attention from CEOs, high performers such as Olympic gold medalist Red Gerard, and top CrossFit athletes, including 2021 fitness man on earth Justin Medeiros. They're all powered by 8 Sleep to make the most of their workouts and recovery, because good sleep is the ultimate game changer. Go to 8sleep.com/richdad to check out the Pod Pro cover and save $150 off Pod Pro and Pod Pro cover at checkout. 8 Sleep ships to the USA, Canada, and the UK.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. Very important program today. We have Jeff Wang as a contributor to the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. And we don't endorse anything. And that was this, one of the reasons I'm kind of hot on this subject is this friend of mine came and wanted me to endorse her coin because it's going to go to the moon. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. And I started, and when I challenged her, she goes, "But you're my friend. You have to endorse me." And I went, "You want me to set people up?" And that's what my concern is. So Jeff Wang is our contributor, but Jeff, you write for the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. What does that, are we making recommendations there, or are you talking about what's going on in the crypto industry?
We try to cover as much as possible. So there are a lot of individual projects, of course, that we talk about, but there are a lot of macro market forces that we have to explain as to why markets are moving the way they are. But we also get into details like NFTs and how to get involved with those. And obviously, that's a whole other segment, a whole other thing we could talk about in the future. But as different Web3 technologies come up, we bring them up.
I get pitched on NFTs also. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. But that's the world we live in, and that's why we have the Rich Dad Radio Show, and that's why we have the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. So can we talk about this guy Biden who I trust as far as nowhere? He's going to bring out central bank cryptocurrency or something like that. What do you know about that?
Yeah, actually, the central bank digital currency, CBDCs, are kind of popping up all over the world. China was one of the first ones to do it. Mexico just proposed last week. They're going to have one in 3 years. So there are pros and cons to CBDCs. So the pros is actually, it's a better technology. It's instant settlement. You don't need to create banks. Actually, you actually can take banks out of the picture, which is kind of bad in some aspects too. But the negatives is there's going to be greater transparency for the government. People will have to probably KYC into any account they make, that everything that you transact is visible to the government. So these things are like what the public doesn't want, right? So how do you outweigh like the pros and cons? I'll give you an example in China. So there are methods in China where you can deposit into private wallets, very low amounts though, where you can send without the government seeing you. But in general, the government can see everything you do. Otherwise, if you have any large amount transacted, they know exactly who's sending to who. So that's kind of the summary of CBDCs, but we can go over like the executive order and other aspects of it too.
So my concern, I'm a layman, I know nothing because I barely, Sarah has to set up my cell phone every day because I get confused in there. But the thing I heard is what you just kind of mentioned here. Isn't a central bank crypto, isn't that big brother surveillance? They can watch what you're doing.
Yes. So if you, let's just take an example right now today. if I'm sending money to you, Jeff is sending money to Robert, I'm going through a bank, another third party, company or source that has your assets, right? What actually happens too is when I send the money to you, we have to wait a day or two for the money to settle with the Fed, right? To get all the books, and even within the bank, the books all settled. So it's a very, very old technology. It takes multiple days. It's actually very inefficient and very expensive to run.
Right.
So what the CBDC is trying to do is make sure you have a copy of the ledger, or we're interacting with a copy of the ledger. And when we send money to each other, both ledgers are updated. And that's it. Every other ledger is updated. So there's actually no other, we don't have to wait 24 hours for a settlement. We don't have to check with the Fed if that's the actual balance. It's all instant. So I think there's two things that we have to monitor there. One is that it was instant, the technology is better, but two is you're right. The government can see that I have sent you the exact amount of money to Robert, right? So like that is something that people are not as comfortable about.
I'm very uncomfortable with that, because not that I do anything illegal, and not that I would admit it if I did it, but I just don't like the government knowing what's in my wallet and where I'm spending it and what I'm doing with it. So one of the reasons I recommend gold and silver coins is if I want to pay you money, I just give you the silver coin. It's not traceable. I kind of like that. And then if the power grid shuts down, you still have my little silver coin. That's your silver coin now. So anyway, so how do you guys reconcile that in your heads about the possibility of Big Brother watching you, or George Orwell, I think, wrote that book.
I mean, that's kind of the reason why crypto is there, right? Because it doesn't require any relation to the government. And that's kind of why governments are acting all around the world, actually, due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, to kind of figure out what crypto is, how do you regulate it, how do you enforce it, what are the restrictions people should have when they take crypto and send it to each other, right? So this is like actively happening. Crypto is completely separated from the world financial system. And because of that, even the central bank digital currencies aren't really going to pose any control if people can just use this decentralized version of money, right?
So that brings up my next question, because what I hear about that is, what makes you think the government will allow individual private Bitcoins or cryptos to operate?
That's the thing about crypto. As long as you have a piece of paper that has a string of text in a certain combination, that is your wallet. You can send money and receive money off of it. Obviously, you have to go through some sort of node, but that means that anybody in the world can receive money and anybody can send money, and that's completely disconnected from any government.
So you're saying the government will not touch it?
The only thing the government can do is monitor where the money is coming off the ramp, right? So if I ever convert crypto into USD, I need to convert it somewhere and I need to deposit it somewhere, right? Obviously, that's not always the case. Maybe there's off ramps that directly go to some other country. But the point is, the government, what they're going to try to do, their strategy is to make sure anytime money converts from crypto to USD, that is monitored. And then if USD ever comes off of that platform, the government must know who that came from, right? Otherwise, in between, it's completely up in the air, although it is like transparent on the blockchain.
Yeah, there's a guy named Mayer Amschel Rothschild who said, "I care not who makes the rules, just let me control the money." So since I was a little kid at 9 years old studying money, I realized the only people that control money are governments, tyrants, and despots. And so that's the Federal Reserve Bank and the U.S. Treasury. And one of the reasons I have gold and silver and Bitcoin is because I don't trust the government, I don't trust the Fed, I don't trust the Treasury. So my question is, how long do you think, are you trying to say that the government will never be able to stop Bitcoin?
The government will never be able to stop Bitcoin. They can only control the conversions to USD.
Until I convert to dollars. But as long as I stay outside the U.S. criminal system, I'm okay.
Yes. And what's crazy is a lot of these new projects coming out this year are designed to be completely disconnected from any banks. So you can live your life completely without banks. The moment you transact in crypto, it stays in crypto.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting times. Like I said, only people, tyrants, despots, and governments. And one of the reasons I don't have any stocks is I don't trust the stock market, which is the investment banking system. So I'd rather invest in my own stocks per se. Anyway, it's kind of an interesting way of thinking. We're not endorsing anything at Rich Dad here. We're just information. The last thing is I heard, I guess crypto played a big role in the Russia-Ukrainian conflict there. What happened there?
So it's really interesting that there's both positive and negative viewpoints on this, because the moment that the war started, sanctions were starting to hit, and people were different countries were trying to cut Russia off from different financial systems, right, and platforms. So the first thought from world governments was, is Russia able to evade sanctions with crypto? Are they going to ask other countries to give them Bitcoin and transact that to trade oil, for example? But instead, they went for the ruble, right? They said, we only accept ruble. So that's trying to boost up their currency. And then on the flip side, Ukraine, all they did was print out an Ethereum wallet. They said, here's our Ethereum wallet. Please donate to us. They got $100 million within the first few months. And it was like they didn't do anything except tweet it out, right? So think about that. Like, they didn't ask another country to wire money in, or, obviously they did, but they didn't have to. They just needed to tweet out an address, and then they received hundreds of millions of dollars just from crypto coming in. That's amazing.
And with my old brain, I'm going, was there really $100 million there? Or was it all like the US dollar printed out of nothing?
Well, no, it's in various forms of crypto. Like, they have different wallets. Yeah.
I understand. But to me, crypto is not much different than the US dollar. You just print it. You just create it.
Well, here's the difference with crypto. That is baked into the programming. There's an exact science behind how much crypto can be created.
I understand.
Whereas like the US dollar, someone could just type in how much they want for the next year, right? So
I don't know much. I have an old brain, but to me, where did that come from? What was the source? Look,
it's baked in the protocol.
I understand, but somebody just typed it up. They made it up. That's my opinion, and I'm willing to be wrong on this one. But I own oil wells, and to me, oil is money. But I have to dig it up. I have to ship it someplace. I own gold companies, gold mines, and silver mine. So we dig it out, and we actually ship it somewhere. But hundreds of millions of crypto come in. Didn't it just come off a computer?
No, so people personally had to send it.
No, I understand. But how did they develop the coin to send, or the money to send? Where did it come from?
Some people had to purchase it, or they've made it off of other transactions. But it's not minted out of thin air from nothing. There is a protocol that has a specific percentage of inflation.
I understand. To me, Jeff, I'm glad you write for the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter, but the old guys like me go, this is more smoke and mirrors. This is more Wizard of Oz. You look behind the scenes there. What did that money come from? That's my question. As an old guy, and I still own Bitcoin. I'm waiting it to go drop down to 20K, and I'll probably start buying some more. But I actually had to sell, rent from my apartment buildings. I had to sell oil, and I actually had to sell gold and silver. So there was actually something tangibly produced. And the question I'm kind of asking you, where does Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoins or NFTs come from?
I think the reason why there is value is because you can see exactly how many of those coins are in circulation. Right?
I understand that, Jeff. Where did it come from?
It's digital, right? It's digital scarcity.
Did somebody make it up?
Yeah. Well, when they created Bitcoin, they said there's going to be 21 million total Bitcoin, right? And then you can only have a certain amount mined, right?
So I can start the Kiyosaki coin and say, well, we're only going to print, I'm only going to make up 18 million.
But people have to use it, right, for it to have value. People have to transact in it.
I understand.
That has value, right?
I sell oil for my money. What do you guys sell? That's what I want to know.
I think the disconnect here is why the coin has value versus the demand and supply, right? So there's always a demand and supply element to everything we just talked about with oil, with gold, with Bitcoin, right?
No,
And if
hold it. There's a use to it. People pump it into their gas tanks, right? Not Tesla cars, but oil is used for fertilizer to provide food and all this stuff. I'm just putting you on the hot spot here because it's a question I have, and I'm more doing it for the Rich Dad readers. Can I trade Bitcoin? But I don't think it has any value. I just play the game. And so I want to know how young guys like you can sit there and say, oh, it's only 21 million. I said, but where'd they come from?
I think that where it's come from is clear, right? It's just part of the protocol. But where it has value is actually the argument then, because it's simply a decentralized money, right? And then your question is, where is the value of decentralized money? But we just talked about how the government has complete oversight and they're going to create a central bank digital currency and they're going to control all our money, right? So there is value in some sort of decentralized money and decentralized computer, right? You can write apps on this as well. So I think that's where the disconnect is.
I understand. Like people are cleaning my office building right now, so I'm not going to pay them in crypto. I'm going to pay them in USD. But they're actually doing something for my business.
Well, so the crypto can be swapped immediately into USD. So even if they get paid in crypto, it's the same.
I think you guys really don't get it from the old guys like me. Are going, like I say, I own several $1 million worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I still don't know where it came from, but I'm saying, what did somebody do for it?
I think, it's even more crazy is the younger generation, Gen Z, puts value into game assets. So buying a costume for their character or buying a skin for a weapon, they pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for that, right? So from my perspective, being a millennial, I'm wondering where is that? Why are they willing to pay that much money for those assets, right?
Thank you.
And that's starting a whole nother category in Web3, which is like the GameFi space.
I'd like to ask you, if you're going to write the next Rich Dad Crypto, if you could kind of put that in there, where's the tangible value? That's kind of my question. I trade this stuff. Like, I think that US dollar is fake as hell. I just think it's a piece of crap. That's why I own gold and silver. I'd rather have something tangible. And I'd rather have oil, and I'd rather have fertilizer because they do something. I'd rather pay somebody for their labor because they've done something.
All right, I'll give one last attempt, and this is the more technical answer that I was trying to avoid. But coins like Bitcoin, you use to pay fees on the platform. Coins like Ethereum, you use as gas to deploy contracts and to also pay fees for transactions. So every time data is written onto the platform, it requires the asset of the cryptocurrency itself. So that's where the initial value comes from. Now, when you talk about where does the dollar come from, that's just the supply and demand of people that are willing to buy it off a crypto exchange. That's a different demand, right? The demand that comes from me using the platform and writing code on the platform and running apps on the platform is a separate currency, right? But it is the same currency.
The US dollar comes from debt. It's printed. I mean, it's just basically doesn't exist. That's why all these years, that's why the Rich Dad Company was formed and all that. And people don't know what the US dollar is. It's called the fractional reserve system. I put in a dollar's savings in a bank, and the bank can lend out 10. That's where dollars come from. It's on debt. And then there's guys like Dave Ramsey who say live debt free. And there's people like Rich Dad who say there's good debt and bad debt. And you have to know how to use debt to acquire assets. So we're actually converting something that is printed out of nothing, the dollar, to create assets like real estate or gold or silver or oil. So that's kind of my old man's logic. But anyway, I appreciate the discussion, and keep up. Please write something about that for the old guys like me and the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter, because it drives me a little wacky. And I'm happy you guys are doing it. I'm happy I became a millionaire with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I still don't know where it came from. So we come back, Jeff. So thank you very much. Final words. How can people get more information from you? What else do you do?
You can go to the Rich Dad newsletter if you are still curious about where actual crypto usage is and where the value comes from. You can go to tomocrypto.com to kind of wait list for the Tomo card, where you can actually spend crypto. And I'm a GP at Lunatic Capital. So if you're a startup looking for funding and you have any ideas to run off me, you can contact me there as well. So lots of jobs, just fully involved in the space right now.
Good. Well, thank you for writing for the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. I appreciate it. And, as most of the listeners know, I give everybody a hard time here at Rich Dad because that's our job. So thanks very much, Jeff. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we come back, we'll final wrap up with Sarah. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. I want to thank Jeff Wang again. He's a contributor to the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. And as you've been following the Rich Dad Radio Show, I give everybody a hard time if I don't understand something. And that includes the real estate guys, because as we all know, there's a lot of BS in real estate also. I mean, I just can't believe people are jumping in to buy real estate now at the top of a market. Just talking to this person who's going, yeah, I'm getting into real estate. I said, why don't you just climb on the Titanic? You know what I mean? But being an old guy gives me the opportunity to look back upon time and see the ebbs and flows, the coming and going. And I remember when the .com came out, there was pets.com and all that stuff. I'm going, what happened to them? So anyway, that's why I have the Rich Dad Radio Show. We sell nothing. We recommend nothing. But we give everybody as hard a chance to explain their point of view as best they can. So you can listen to the Rich Dad Radio program anytime, anywhere on iTunes, Android, and YouTube. Please leave us a review. All of our programs are archived at richdad.com. We archive it so that you can listen to us again, because if you listen to this program again, you'll pick up a little bit more. But more importantly, you can share this program with your friends. So go to richdadradio.com, listen to this program again, and then get into a discussion. So that's why we have Rich Dad. We're a purely educational company. We don't recommend a damn thing. So Sarah, what did you think?
Well, you call it giving him a hard time, but I really think, he represents the brand. He represents Rich Dad. He's front facing to a lot of our crypto customers. So Here's the thing. And why I appreciate you pushing him is that it forces him to keep it simple. It forces him to explain it in simple terms, because like you said, old guys, don't understand, and they're set on hard assets or, whatever. So I think it's an interesting perspective. I think it really forced him to try to explain it as simple as possible. And that's what we're all about.
Well, he says, I'll just send you a line of code.
That's what crypto is.
Yeah. It's the same thing as a fractional reserve system. Let's say the fractional reserve is 10. That means you trundle down to the bank, you bust your ass, you pay taxes, and you have $1 left. It probably takes you $10 to make that $1 because of taxes and all of this stuff. You deposit your dollar in the bank, your trusty bank, and they lend it out 10 times.
Right.
So where did the other $9 come from?
Thin air. Yeah.
Yeah. As a little kid, I'd sit there and go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is magic. This is the Wizard of Oz stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I met my rich dad, he says, only stupid people save money.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to use debt. And I went, and that fried my brain.
Right.
And then if you look at the tax law, when I borrow, let's say I borrow $1 million, I don't have to pay any tax on that money.
Right.
If I make $1 million, I'm a doctor, I'll pay $600,000 in taxes. So, Dave Ramsey is a friend of mine, but he says live debt free. I'm going, why? And the reason we have the Rich Dad Radio Show and all of our programs, you can ask yourself that question. So what I do is I borrow $1 million, I buy a $5 million, let's say, apartment house, and I get tax breaks for it. I pay no taxes at all on my income. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all Wizard of Oz stuff. What else do you think, sir? Because you just became a real estate investor, right?
Yeah. And for that purpose, for tax purposes.
And you're learning a lot?
Oh, it's the worst education you could have ever imagined. I think it should have gone to college. And it's hard.
And paid taxes.
It is not for the faint of heart.
No.
You have to work your ass off. You have to study a ton. I've learned more about zoning codes and, stupid rules that you don't think about when you buy a house.
Right.
Yeah.
But the good news is you can now pay less taxes.
That was the only goal.
Yeah. But those are the questions that if you're a professional investor, those are the questions you should ask.
Right.
So anyway, thank you all for listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show. And we'll talk, thanks to Jeff Wang. Check out the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. Thank you very much.